Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This video marks the start of a new series that I'm calling the Foundations of Mathematics. It's going to be a precursor to pre-algebra and algebra series that I will later put out, but essentially the goal of this series is to fill any gaps in people's knowledge of basic fundamentals, stepping stones of mathematics. Before you get into any pre-algebra or algebra or more complicated topics of that nature, right, we need to understand basically what mathematics is at its most fundamental level. And we're going to start with a couple of core concepts that I want everybody to be able to understand. First, today we're going to be talking about place values and number forms. After that, operations with whole numbers, rounding and estimating, factors and multiples, order of operations, where we'll introduce something called PEMDAS, and finishing with number patterns and sequences. Okay, so these are the six probably most important foundational building blocks of mathematics that are very important for pre-algebra and later classes. Of note is this will probably be the lowest level of mathematics that I cover on this channel, unless there's some high level number of requests for a specific topic below this. But yeah, thank you for coming, and let's get into place values and number forms. Okay, let's get into today's video. So the first thing we want to cover in this Foundation of Mathematics series is place values and number forms. So starting with place values, what is a place value? Well, I'm sure you've all seen numbers before and numbers written out. So let's kind of give just an example number that I'll take off the top of my head. Let's say we start with the number 561, okay? Now, what does this mean, really? We could count up to 561, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, but that would take a long time, right, for us to really be able to visualize what 561 means, okay? In reality, what it means is we have 1 1, 6 tens, and 5 hundreds. Now, let me explain that a little bit more, okay? Basically, if we were to draw marbles from a bag, and this is a very big bag of marbles, and we were counting them all up, what we could do is we could organize them in sets of groups of some amount of numbers. What we as a society have chosen to do is order those numbers in a specific way known as base 10. What that means is every time we get to a set of 10 numbers, that's a significant group, and that group kind of stays separate from the rest. So what that means is, let's imagine we look at this 6 right here. What this is describing is we have 6 sets of 10 marbles, right? So we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 6 sets of these. So this 6 is almost talking about 6 times of this set of marbles. So that's a total of 6D, right? That's 6 tens, that's 6D, okay? This 1 is in the ones place, and what that means is it's just a leftover extra marble. So it's just 1 extra marble. Now, what is this 5 talking about? This 5 is in the hundreds place. So what that means is I would have to draw 100 marbles, 5 sets of 100 marbles. Okay? So what this is saying is 561 can actually be thought of as 5 hundreds, 6 tens, and 1 1. Okay, now what that leads me into is a concept called expanded form. So here's what we have with expanded form. Expanded form is taking a number, let's use 561 to be consistent, 561, and writing it in its expanded form. Basically, it's little pieces broken up, just like we just did. So this would be 500. That's what this 5 represents because it's in the ones, tens, hundredths place. So this is the hundredth place, right? 500 plus, well, what does this 6 represent? This is the tens place, right? So that would be 60, that's 6 tens. And then this is the ones place, which is just an additional 1. So we can write 561 as 500 plus 60 plus 1, okay? Now there's another form that I want us to be careful of, and it's called the word form. Word form. So sticking with our example of 561, what is 561 in word form? Well, it's basically what I've been saying this whole time. The numbers 5, 6, 1 in this order, when you want to write it out or say it, you would say 561. Okay, so we have 500, that corresponds to this, and that's the plus sign, 60 here, 1. So that's word form. So basically what we have here is we have expanded form, word form, and then the third form is very simple. It's just called standard form. And standard form is the one I've been describing to you this whole time. Standard form is just 561. That's just how we write the number, right? Because we don't want to have to always put this 500, 60, and 1 every time we want to write a big number, right? We can just condense it into this format, right? Always remember, though, in standard form, there are things that are very important. First off, this represents the ones place. So on this represents the tens, this represents the hundreds. Okay, and so on. We can go to the thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions. Keep going. It keeps going up forever. Okay, but we can also go the other direction. Say we want to get something more precise than just 561. Let's say you go to the grocery store and you're buying food for a big party. Okay, and you spend $561 and some number of cents. Right, $561. And some number of cents after this decimal place, right? Now, how do we show those cents, and what do those cents really mean? Okay, because we're at $561, and let's say we spend another 37 cents. Okay, what does this mean? Well, this is the 1/10ths place. So this 3 represents 1/10 of a dollar. Okay, remember we know 100 pennies equals $1. So a tenth of a dollar would just be 10 pennies. What this means is this 3 represents 30 pennies. Okay, so 3 represents 30 pennies in this spot. This 7 represents just 7 pennies because it sits in the 1/100th location. Let's not imagine it with dollars anymore. Just think about it with regular numbers, right? If we were doing 561.37, what this is saying is we have 500 plus 60 plus 1 plus 3 tenths plus 7 100ths. Okay? So this would be the expanded form of 561.37, right? The word form would be 561 point, describing the decimal place, 37. Or instead of 0.37, depending on what your class recommends, 561 and 37 hundredths. 37 hundredths. Okay, what this means is this 37 is 2 decimal places. So if we go back to look at our chart, right, 2 decimal places over from the decimal is the hundredths spot. It's the tenths and then the hundredths. So those 2 decimal places being here and here, 561.37, 3 and 7 represent the tenths and hundredths, so 37 is the number of hundredths in the total number. Okay? So these are the kind of 3 biggest forms: expanded form, word form, and standard form. Okay? There is one more type of question that I want us to show before doing a little bit of practice. Right? The next thing that shows up often is a question that asks you to identify the place value of a certain number. So let's go over what I mean by that. Let's say I have the number 34821.679. Okay, big number, 34,821.679, and 679 thousandths, okay? Now, if I was to ask you, what is the place value of the 8? Okay, so how do we do this? What is the place value of the 8 in this number? So we find the 8, and then we figure out, okay, so here's the decimal point. So the 8's this direction, so let's go over. This is the ones place, okay? If we go over again, this is the tens place. If we go over again, this is the hundreds place. Okay, it's a little bit sloppy, but hundreds place. So this 8 represents 8 100s, or 800. So if it asks you what is the digit in the hundreds place, it's 8. And if the question asks you what is the value of the 8, it's 800, okay? Now, you could go the other direction and ask what is the value of the 7? Okay, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna find the 7, okay? Where's the 7 at? Oh, it's over on this right side. So here's the 7. We started the decimal place, and instead of going this way for ones, we're gonna go the other way. We go this way. This is tenths with a TH. The next one is hundredths. Hundredths, okay? So this 7 represents the hundredths place. So that 7 holds a value of 0.07 or 7 hundredths, right? Either one would be acceptable, but if it asks you to put it in fraction form, this is the best one. Asks it in decimal form, this is the best one, okay? So this is kind of an overview of place values and number forms. There's one more practice question I want us to do before we finish our lesson for the day. And here it is. So I'm gonna have you pause the video, try this question, write the number 3,805,209 in expanded form and word form. Okay, pause the video and try expanded form and word form. Okay, so if we were to write this in expanded form, we would just essentially take, we know this is the ones, tens, hundreds, thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000ths, and then this is the millionths place. So that 3 represents 3 million. Okay, the 8 represents 800,000, 100,000ths place. The 0, you don't have to add that one in. The 5 represents 5,000, it's in the thousands place. The 2 represents 200. The 0, once again, doesn't represent anything. And then the 9 represents just regular old 9, right? That's in the ones place, so the digit is taken at face value. So this is expanded form, and if we wanted to write it in word form, we would say 3,805,000 209. So that is the expanded and the word form of the standard number 3,805,209. Okay? Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or wanted anything explained a little bit more clearly. I'll see you in the next video.